Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. There's been a major buzz swirling around South Beach, and if the sources are anywhere close to accurate, the Miami Dolphins may have just pulled off one of the most under-the-radar coups of this NFL offseason. That's right, RASUL Douglas, the battle-tested cornerback known for his clutch performances and ball-hawking instincts, has reportedly signed a 4-year contract with the Dolphins. Now, while the team hasn't made anything official yet, no press release, no big splashy announcement, it hasn't stopped insiders and football junkies from speculating like wildfire. From cryptic tweets by Douglas himself to subtle hints dropped by Dolphins personnel on Instagram, the rumor mill has gone into overdrive. If this deal is confirmed, Douglas would join a Dolphins secondary that's already brimming with talent, potentially giving Miami one of the deepest and most versatile defensive backfields in the league. And let's be honest, Miami's defense could use a little boost after their roller coaster performance last season. Douglas, who's coming off a stellar stint with the Buffalo Bills, brings not just experience, but also a gritty, no-nonsense style of play that fits right into that South Florida swagger. Dolphins fans, buckle up, this could be huge. Let's not forget the journey that's brought RASUL Douglas to this point. Drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles back in 2017, Douglas has been on a winding path through the NFL with stints at Carolina, Las Vegas, Green Bay, and most recently Buffalo. It hasn't always been easy. He's been waived, doubted, overlooked. But Douglas has consistently battled back, proving time and again that he belongs in the upper tier of NFL cornerbacks. His time in Green Bay was particularly telling as he transformed from a journeyman to a playmaker, hauling in interceptions and locking down top receivers. Last season with the Bills, he turned heads with some game-changing moments, especially in clutch situations. So for the Dolphins to scoop him up now while he's at the peak of his power shows both ambition and an eye for talent. The reported 4-year deal indicates that Miami sees Douglas not just as a temporary fix, but as a long-term cornerstone of their defense. Fans and analysts alike are now wondering, what does this mean for Xavier Howard, for Jalen Ramsey? Could we be looking at a three-headed monster at cornerback in Miami? If so, AFC quarterbacks might want to start losing sleep now. Douglas fit in Miami isn't just theoretical, it makes a lot of football sense. With Vic Fangio's departure and Anthony Weaver stepping in as defensive coordinator, the Dolphins are expected to shift their defensive identity a bit, focusing more on aggressive press coverage, zone flexibility, and Hayek players who can adapt mid-play. That's RASUL Douglas to a T. He's long, instinctive, and thrives in schemes that allow him to read the quarterback and jump routes. Unlike some corners who rely solely on athleticism, Douglas wins with savvy, patience, and a deep understanding of offensive tendencies. This could be a dream pairing for Miami. Add to that the mentorship role he could play for younger corners like Cam Smith and Nick Needham, and you're looking at a move that helps now and down the line. There's also the locker room factor. Douglas is known as a vocal leader, someone who doesn't shy away from speaking up when things aren't right. For a team like Miami trying to take that next step from playoff team to legitimate Super Bowl contender, that kind of presence can be invaluable. And then there's the ripple effect on the rest of the Dolphins' defense. A strong secondary often allows defensive coordinators to get creative up front, bringing extra pressure, disguising coverages, throwing exotic looks at opposing quarterbacks. With Douglas potentially locking down one side of the field and Ramsey patrolling the other, the possibilities become endless. Miami already boasts a talented front seven featuring names like Christian Wilkins, Jalen Phillips, and Bradley Chubb. Giving them just a few more seconds to get to the quarterback could be the difference between a third down stop and a back-breaking conversion. Opposing offenses would have to choose their poison, attack the corners, and risk turnovers, or try to run against a physical, swarming front. Either way, it's not going to be easy. It's also worth noting that Douglas has a knack for big plays and big moments. Pick sixes, forced fumbles, you name it. He's the kind of player who can swing momentum with a single snap. In a division as competitive as the AFC East, those moments could be the difference between a wildcard spot and a division title. But let's be clear, nothing is official yet. Until we see Douglas holding up a Dolphins jersey at a press conference, this remains in the realm of well-sourced speculation. Still, the smoke is too thick to ignore. Multiple reporters with solid track records have hinted at the deal being done, and a few have even cited the contract details for years. Somewhere in the range of $48 to $50 million with guarantees front-loaded to fit under the 2025 cap. That's a strong commitment from the Dolphins, signaling that they believe Douglas has plenty left in the tank. If true, this also tells us that Miami isn't content with simply making the playoffs. They want to win now, and they're willing to pay for proven veterans who can elevate the locker room and the defense. Fans are refreshing their feeds every few minutes waiting for that elusive breaking Dolphins sign RASUL Douglas notification. In an off-season full of surprises, this might be one of the most intriguing yet. Could this be Miami's version of the Rams signing Jalen Ramsey all those years ago? Only time will tell. Social media has played a huge role in fanning the flames of this rumor. Douglas recently posted a palm tree emoji and a dolphin emoji in a now-deleted tweet, which immediately sent fans into a frenzy. Even former teammates and current Dolphins players jumped into the fray, liking posts and making cryptic comments. We've seen this before, players teasing moves before they're officially announced. It's part of the modern NFL news cycle. While some fans are cautious, others are all in already editing Douglas into the aqua and orange on Photoshop and predicting Pro Bowl appearances. It's also interesting that Douglas was reportedly spotted in Miami earlier this week. According to fan photos circulating online, was he just vacationing? Possibly. But was he also in town to ink a deal and scout out his new home? That's the real question. In the age of player-driven narratives and social media breadcrumbs, it's harder than ever to separate fact from fiction. But where there's smoke, there's usually fire, and right now Miami is burning with rumors. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments. What's your take on the Fins this week beyond the X and Os? Douglas brings an edge that Dolphins fans have been craving. He plays with a chip on his shoulder, forged from years of being doubted and passed over. That underdog mentality could mesh perfectly with a Dolphins team that often feels overlooked, despite its talent. Think about it, Miami isn't typically the first team mentioned when people discuss AFC powerhouses. It's always Kansas City, Baltimore, Buffalo. But with this kind of move, the Dolphins are loudly declaring that they're ready to crash the party. Douglas can be the voice in the locker room saying we belong. His fiery demeanor combined with his proven track record could be just what this team needs to take the next leap. And make no mistake, there's urgency in Miami. Tua Tagovailoa is entering a critical season. Mike McDaniel has shown flashes of brilliance, but needs results. The front office is pushing chips to the center of the table. Adding RASUL Douglas fits that win-o mentality to a T. What does this mean for Miami's cap situation? That's a big question. Reports suggest the Dolphins structured the contract cleverly, with a manageable cap hit in year 1 and more flexibility in years 2 and 3. That makes sense considering other big deals on the books. Ramsey, Hill, Armstead. If Chris Grier pulled this off without jeopardizing Miami's future flexibility, it would be yet another feather in his cap as GM. It also raises questions about other potential moves. Could this signing signal the end for another high-priced veteran? Will the Dolphins now shift focus to locking up younger talent or adding depth at linebacker or safety? The signing of Douglas again, if confirmed, could be the first domino in a series of aggressive off-season maneuvers. One thing's clear, Miami isn't sitting back and waiting for good things to happen. They're taking control of their destiny, reshaping the defense piece by piece. And RASUL Douglas could very well be the latest puzzle piece in what's starting to look like a Super Bowl caliber roster. The AFC East is no joke, and if the Dolphins are going to make noise, they need every edge they can get. With the Patriots rebuilding, the Jets reloading with a healthy Aaron Rodgers, and the Bills still looming as perennial contenders, Miami needs difference makers on both sides of the ball. Douglas fits that mold perfectly. He's seen it all. He's played in hostile environments, gone toe-to-toe with elite receivers, and come out on top. That kind of battle-tested experience doesn't just help on Sundays, it shapes the culture during the week. Younger corners watch how he prepares, how he competes, how he communicates. That's leadership you can't teach. If this deal becomes official, don't be surprised if we hear stories in training camp about how Douglas is setting the tone, barking out adjustments and challenging teammates to raise their game. That's what contenders do. They bring in guys who raise the floor and push everyone toward the ceiling. RASUL Douglas might just be that guy for Miami. As we wait for official word, one thing's certain: this rumor has electrified Dolphins Nation. Fans are dreaming big. They're imagining pick sixes in Hard Rock Stadium. They're visualizing a suffocating defense that rattles Mahomes, flusters Allen, and silences doubters. RASUL Douglas might not be the flashiest name, but his potential impact could be monumental. And if he does end up wearing aqua and orange, it will speak volumes about where this franchise is headed. The Dolphins aren't rebuilding, they're reloading. They're assembling a roster that can punch with the best in the league, and if RASUL Douglas is truly on board, he might be the spark that ignites something special. So keep your eyes peeled, keep your Twitter notifications on, and stay ready. Because if this rumor turns out to be real, the entire landscape of the AFC might have just shifted, and the Dolphins might have quietly made the most important move of their offseason. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up!